Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the architect's scale. It's a vital instrument used in blueprint reading. It allows us to take large objects, shrink them down in size into a blueprint so that we can actually read what's going on and get an idea of measurements or take measurements from them when we're constructing a project, whether it's the enterprise or whether it's a washroom or an entire house. So the architect scale allows users to scale down massive buildings like Scotiabank Arena, Rogers Centre, Yorkdale Mall. Okay, the most common scale used are the 1/4 inch and the 1/8 scale. This allows the user to see the big picture on a much smaller manageable size. Imagine if a 1/4 inch equaled 1 foot, then you could fit 12 feet in the real world down to 3 inches on a blueprint paper. There's the 1/4 inch scale as you would find on the architect scale. So these are called divisions. Divisions are found throughout the entire ruler. So this is a division, this is a division, all these are divisions. But when we're looking to calculate the inches on the architect scale, we would use these divisions that are highlighted in green. So depending on what scale you're using will determine the number of divisions and their value. The 1/4 inch scale is shown here. Now can you find it on your architect scale? So that's what you're looking for. And if you have the right scale on the left side of the architect scale, you should see 1/8. So again, if we're on the 1/4 inch, which is over here, if you went this direction, you'd come across the ruler and you'd find 1/8. But the divisions are all here. You just notice that they're different. There's more here, a little less here, and a little less here. And these all will give you the inches when measuring. Okay, so let's remember that there are 12 inches in a foot. As you look at this tape measure down here at the bottom, you see 10, 11, 12, and it's also represented by 1 foot on this particular tape measure. So it's important to remember 12 inches in a foot. So if we wanted to record 7 feet, if we were to write it down, we would write it like this. If we wanted to record 7 inches, we would write it as this. You see the difference here? When using the architect scale ruler, we will show measurements in feet and inches. So let's say 1/4 inch equals 1 foot 0 inches. So this little space here is 1/4 of an inch. 0 to 1 is 1/4 of an inch. 1 to 2 is 1/4 of an inch, and so on and so on. 1/4 inch equals 1 foot 0 inches. That means in the real world, this little space here is equal to 12 inches, 1 foot. So how many divisions in the 1/4 inch scale? So there's 12 in the 1/4 inch scale. If you were to count these divisions, you would count to 12. You do not count the first one. You do not count the 0. You start and then you keep counting, and you'll get to 12 at the end. Therefore, each division represents 1 inch. There's 12, so each one represents 1 inch. Each division, right? So let's look at the 1/8 scale. Let's say 1/8 of an inch equals 1 foot 0 inches. Okay, and here we can see the 1/8 scale. There's the divisions. It starts at 0. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. How many divisions in the 1/8 scale right here? How many do you count? And again, you don't count the 0. So there's 6 divisions on the 1/8 scale. Therefore, each division represents 2 inches. Right? Remember now, 1/4 inch has 12. So each division represents 1 inch. The 1/8 scale has 6 divisions. Therefore, it has to be 2 inches. Right? 6 times 2 is 12. You have to get enough inches to make a foot. Right? So if there's 6, each one has to represent 2 inches in here. So you would just simply start at a 0 and you would go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, so here's a handout that I'm either would have given to you or sent to you an email or through a messenger service through the college. So let's look at this handout. And even if you don't have it, we can work through this no problem and give you an idea how things are going to work. Let's start with the 1/4 inch measurements first at the top of the page. Locate the 1/4 inch ruler, the 1/4 inch scale on your ruler, which is right here, 1/4 inch. Place the 0 at the end of the line, or any line. You could simply draw a line on a piece of paper right now and take a measurement. So the 0 itself, that line right there, has to go right on the end of the line. And it goes on the right side always with 1/4 inch. Let's count the feet on this scale, just so you get an idea how this works. 1, 2, 3, etc. It goes right across. So you have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these slashes, divisions in between, they kind of act as a placeholder, right? So you have 0, there's 1, 2, 3. Now don't get confused here because you see how low this 0 is? So you're going to follow all these lines here. Don't make the mistake of marking this down as your measurement, the upper lines, because they're on the left side, which would be 1/4 inch. Now this would be 9 feet. Okay, so hopefully that helps you get an idea at least how to read the feet on the scale. It's the exact same thing with the 1/8 scale, only it's on the left side of the ruler. So once you've placed the 0 on the right side of the line using the 1/4 inch scale, you must now look at the left side of the line. Line A in your handout should fall between 16 and 17. Somewhere in between these two is the correct measurement. Now, common sense tells us that the line is smaller than 17. It's between 16 and 17, right? We can't stretch it to 17. So the answer has to be 16 feet and so many inches. Simply slide the ruler to the left until the 16-foot mark is at the end of the left side of the line. So you don't even have to lift up the scale ruler. You just slide it along the line, and you're only sliding it a very small fraction. Okay, so you slide it to the left. Your next step is to then look at the right side of your 1/4 inch ruler. You'll now see that the divisions are at the end of the line on the right side, right? Not the 0. You've moved the ruler a little bit, so now you just simply have to count the divisions. And again, you don't count the 0. if everything was done right on the first line A, you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, roughly 4 divisions. So your answer would be 16 feet 4 inches. Okay, so once you have your answer, 16 feet 4 inches, this is how it is to be written. So you have to write it like this. You must include the feet and the inch symbol, and you must put this hyphen in between the two numbers. All right? Because the quarter-inch scale has 12 divisions and each division equals 1 inch, it is therefore possible to have an odd number represented in inches. So example, you could have 16 feet 5 inches, 16 feet 8 inches, 16 feet 9 inches, because there are 12 divisions, 1, 2, 3, 4, right through to 12. So it is possible to land on an odd number. Inches can be represented by both even and odd numbers on the quarter-inch scale. Okay, because the 1/8 scale has 6 divisions and each division equals 2 inch, it is only possible to have even numbers represented in inches. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Because that's what each division represents. So example, you can have 16.4, 16.8, 16.10, but you can't give me 16.9 or 16.7 or 16.5. And remember, on feet, it doesn't matter. It can be even or odd, but on the inches, on the 1/8 scale, it's got to be an even number. Okay, let's take a look at the example from the handout. It's a little hard to see here, but we have A, B, and C, and we're going to measure them using the quarter-inch equals 1 foot 0 inches. We also have A, B, and C here, and we're going to measure using the following lines using 1/8 inch equals 1 foot 0 inches. So let's look at quarter-inch line B. Place the 0 of your scale ruler on, there you go, the 0 right there, and you can place it here on the end of the line. Now look at the other end of the ruler, where it lands there. What numbers do you see at the end of the line on the left? So you should see close to 23 and 24, somewhere in between that. So you get almost 24 feet. So what you want to do here is slide your ruler to the left so the 23 lines up at the end of the line, right there. Right? Because we know 23 is about here, 24 is here, and we can't stretch this line to 24. So it has to be 23 feet, so many inches. So you just slide the whole ruler until 23 lines up right at the end. Then count the divisions on the right. So now down here, your 0 would have moved a little bit because you've slid the whole ruler. And just simply count all those divisions to the end of the line. Don't count the 0. I count 11, so it's almost 24 feet. Remember, because there's 12 inches in a foot, but we only have 11 here. So what's our answer going to be? How many feet and how many inches? Your answer is 23 feet, 11 inches, and that's how you would write it. Let's do the same thing, quarter-inch line on C. This is a short little line here. Same idea, place the 0 on your scale ruler on the right side of the line, right there. Now look at the other end of the ruler. What numbers do you see at the end of the line on the left? You should see between 3 and 4. That's 3 and 4 feet. Okay, so again, we can't stretch the line to 4. We've got to slide the ruler to the left so that the 3 ends up with the end of the line. So here's the 3. You're going to slide it to the left until that 3 stops right there. Then you just count the divisions to the right. And I count 3 divisions, which would be 3 inches. So therefore, your answer would be 3 feet, 3 inches. And that's how you would write it. So now let's try the 1/8 scale. We're going to look at line A. Place the 0 of your scale ruler on the left end of the line. So there's the 1/8 showing down here. Okay. So you're going to place this 0 right there. Now look at the other end of the ruler where the line ends. What numbers do you see at the end of the line on the right? Now remember, you're using the numbers at the top now. Don't get confused. Okay. So what do we see on the right? I land on 35. Dead even, right on the money. There's no need to slide the ruler because the answer is 35. Your answer would be written as 35 feet and 0 inches, and that's how you write it. Even though there's a 0, you must write the 0. Don't leave it blank. Just don't put 35 feet. That's not good enough. You have to put 35 feet. You have to separate them, and then you have to put the 0 with the inches. Same if it was reversed. If I gave you a very short little line over here, and you measured it, and it was 10 inches, you have to write 0 feet, 10 inches. Okay, so for this one, no need to slide the ruler, and sometimes it happens. So let's look at 1/8 scale line B. Place the 0 of your scale ruler on the left end of the line, right? So it goes right there. Now you look at the other end of the ruler on the right side where the line ends. So what numbers do you see at the end of the line on the right? I land between 9 and 10. So here's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I land between 9 and 10. So my line ends somewhere in this area. So you must slide the ruler to the right. So we already know if it lands between 9 and 10, that 9 is going to be the feet because we can't stretch it to 10. So then you count the 3 divisions worth 2 each over here. So if it's 3 divisions worth 2 inches each, that's 6 inches. Your answer would be 9 feet, 6 inches. That's how you write it. Okay, so let's tackle line C. This is the biggest line in the 1/8 little exercise that we have here. What do? We place the 0 of your scale ruler on the left end of the line. So now look at the other end of the ruler. And at this point, I want you to try and figure this one out on your own. So I'll give you a second to see how many feet you have. Where does it fall? Remember, if it falls between 15 and 17, you know it's going to be, or sorry, 15 and 16, you know it's going to be 15 feet, so many inches, right? You can't stretch to 16. So what do you got? You got your answers there? You all ready? Here we go. What numbers do you see on the line on the right? I fall between 49 and 50. Is that what you got? Slide the ruler to the right, so the 49 is at the end of the line on the right. Count your divisions. You should get about 2 divisions. So they're each worth 2 inches, right? So 49 feet 4 inches. Okay, so let's look at the architect scale rule. The chart on the right breaks down all the different scales found on the architect scale. So 3/32s, 3/16s, 3/8, 3/4, an inch, inch and a half, right down to 3 inch. You'll notice that 3/32 of an inch and 1/8 have 6 divisions each. Therefore, each division is worth 2 inch. The 3/16, quarter inch, and 3/8 scale all have 12 divisions. Therefore, each division is worth 1 inch, right? There's 12 inches in a foot. And that quarter inch represents 1 foot 0 inches. These are the divisions for quarter inch. Right? So as I said before, if we were to count all these and not count the 0, we'd have 12 divisions. There it is right there. And each one is worth 1 inch. So again, just as a refresher, I can't stress enough when it comes to actually counting these divisions. The quarter inch scale is shown here. You have 12 divisions. You do not include the 0 when counting. Okay, so you start counting here. That's 1. Don't include the 0, please. The same holds true for all the scales. You never include the 0 because that's your starting point. So it's like if someone takes 3 steps, you stand with your feet beside each other. The first step you take is 1, not your starting point. So the 0 is that starting point. All right, so that's it for the architect scale. You can practice, you can measure a few things. I've got a couple other things for you to look at. When I'm marking these, I want you to keep in mind, like if, let me say you're doing the 1/8 scale and the inches fall between 4 and 6. You don't write the answer as 5. It doesn't exist. It's not on the scale. You can't give it to me. So pick 4 or 6. Okay, it's going to be right, not to worry about it. I'll give you a few inches here and there when it comes to your marks. So if I see a line and I mark it down the quarter inch scale as 15 feet 7 inches and you come back with 15 feet 9 inches, you're going to get it right, because in all reality it just shows me that I know you know what you're doing. The photocopies are exaggerated over the years and being, photocopied multiple times. They get a little blurry. They're not as sharp as they used to be. So what I need to see is that you have a good idea. How to record it, how to write it down properly. Other than that, that's all. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.